welcome back to the YellowCard Vanguard channel. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Every Monday, I'm streaming Vanguard content, and the past few Mondays we've been brewing up clan collection lists and testing them. So swing on by to be part of the process. On this episode of Clan Collection Cores, we're featuring support for the Link Joker clan, and specifically the Star Vaders, everyone's favorite clown. Star Vader Friendship Breaker Dragon gets support in this set to up their consistency. The biggest update to this deck is the fact that we now have 3 more Star Vader names. Let's take a look together. The new Grade 3 unit is Star Vader Dragon, Infinite Zero Dragon. When placed on Vanguard Circle, or when rode upon, you can counterblast 1 and discard 1 to lock an opponent's rearguard. If we are limit break 4, instead of just 1, we can lock a front row and a back row. His second skill nets him 5k for every one of our opponent's locked cards. As far as I'm concerned, Infinite Zero Dragon will almost always only be a big rearguard attacker in our deck. We can expect to have about 3 cards locked on any given turn, so IZD will generally be about 28k pre-buffs. The other bonus of IZD is that he is a Cyber Dragon, giving us another 4 hits off of Gravity Collapse Dragon when we hit with it. The new Grade 2 unit we get is Star Vader Colonymaker. When placed on rear or van, we can Soul Blast 1, ditch 1. Then we can check the top 5 of our deck for a Star Vader and call it to rear as rest. If our opponent has a locked card, we can stand it as well. Honestly, this card is kind of middling, but it is a way to convert dead cards into better cards and also has a Star Vader name for more Craven Claw hits. Our new Grade 1 is Prison Gate Star Vader Palladium. When rode upon, we can call him to rear, and on the rear circle, when an opponent's card is unlocked, we can counterblast 1 and retire him to lock the top card of our opponent's deck to an empty rear circle. There's a cool line of play between Palladium and CBD, in which at the end of turn, when our opponent's back row is unlocked, we can use Palladium to force a front row lock, and then resolve CBD to retire the back row. This way, if we were to do CBD into Palladium, they could just put the new card into the back row again. Finally, we have the new Grade 3 Heal Guardians, Oblivion Quasar Dragon. Honestly, one of the coolest names ever, and also a Cyber Dragon if we really wanted to cheat ride this. But more importantly, it provides us a counterblast for cards like Zirconium and Chaos Breaker to start our lock chain. Let's get into the core. As per usual when playing CBD, we are a source of control deck that aims to fatigue our opponent out of resources and out of the game. The deck is fairly easy to build as we are looking to maximize on Star Vader names to increase our hit rate with Craven Claw, Colonymaker, and Zirconium. As such, we've opted into running full playsets of all the Star Vader names. 4 copies of Star Vader Infinite Zero Dragon as our big body rearguard attacker, but also a Gravity Collapse target to ride into. 4 copies of Chaos Breaker Dragon as our boss unit. We look to be on to start stealing force markers for our own units. Coupled with Zirconium, this provides a lot of pressure. We also have 4 copies of Zirconium to give our Chaos Breaker a crit. Coupled with our force marker farming, we hope that it overwhelms our opponent. Zirconium also helps start the locking mechanism if our opponent does not call any rearguards as he rips from the top of the deck. We're running 4 copies of Colonymaker as well, mostly for the name, but the ability to Superior Call and IZD from deck early is probably pretty good. And it also turns dead cards like extra Gravity Collapse Dragons into better attackers. We've got 4 copies of Palladium and 4 copies of Craven Claw. Palladium is a great ride going first, and Craven Claw is a better ride going second. Palladium keeps up the aggression as he's able to become a booster for our Vanguard to prevent trigger no passes, and Craven Claw threatens that on-hit pressure going first. To round out our non-Star Vader names, we have 4 copies of White Dwarf to help find our Chaos Breaker Dragons, but also always at 13k body when we're playing this deck. It helps in final pushes when we need anything and anyone available to attack with. We've got 2 copies of Nordstrom Dragon to provide countercharge for the deck, as it does lack it, realistically speaking. And finally, to round out the deck, the best Grade 2 ride, Gravity Collapse Dragon. Being able to cheat us a superior ride and to get a quick force marker when we ride into Infinite Zero or Chaos Breaker for the next turn is really good. But it's also able to force our opponent to guard heavily and early if they don't want to deal with that outcome. Our trigger this time is 4 crits, 4 draws, and 4 draw sentinels with the new 4 Grade 3 Heal Guardians. I've opted into heavy draw counts as we're looking to grind our opponent to a pulp, and there are hand costs associated with Colonymaker and IZD, so having more draws helps in alleviating that. There's not a lot of alternatives we can run due to the Star Vader name restriction in some of our cards, but a card I've seen in a lot of current lists not present in mine is Crunching Deleter Barual. If you can find place for it, it can really put your opponent in a pinch with his Omega Lock in denial of countercharge. Regardless, I think this was the support that Chaos Breaker needed to become a dominant force in the meta. I've seen a lot of playtesters report back that CBD was able to put up a really good results against Prism, the boogeyman of the format. And for that, I'm happy to hear. But for CBD to become the new boogeyman, we'll see how the format turns out if that happens to be the case. In any ways, that's all from me on today's segment of Clan Collection Cores, and I will see you next time. Toku out.